We spoke to the government here and they admit that security forces have killed dozens of people in the crackdown on these protests. Now they're blaming the violence on what they describe as elements within those protesters who they say are being encouraged and even funded by what they say are foreign terrorist organisations. They have promised to launch an investigation into the deaths and into the looting and burning of public and private property. Now, the Oromo region is this country's largest region. The Oromo are the largest ethnic group, and yesterday we travelled around 50 kilometres west of the capital, Addis Ababa, to an area that has historically been very anti-government. And this is our report.
A member of the Ethiopian security forces shot mother of two Lelisa Kenna in her neck during a recent protest. When her condition began to deteriorate in hospital, she insisted her father take her back to her village so she could see her children.
We went to demonstrate. They allowed us to pass the first checkpoint. At the second checkpoint, somebody threw a stone. Security forces then took action. People threw themselves on the ground.
The people here are afraid to talk. This man insisted we hide his identity. He says police in his town arrest men who gather in groups of more than two.
Our future is uncertain. We don't know whether we will be detained or killed. We are so afraid we don't even like walking on the streets.
The government admits its security forces have killed dozens of people in the crackdown on these protests, and it's promised to launch an investigation into who was responsible for those deaths. But certainly the people living here say they have little hope that they will get justice or that their long-standing political demands will be met. The Oromo are the largest ethnic group in Ethiopia. They have long complained that the government has ignored their political, economic and cultural rights. Al Jazeera has no way of independently verifying this video uploaded on the internet. Protests were recently sparked by opposition to the government's so-called Addis Ababa Integrated Development Plan. The government says it's aimed at improving the services and developing the Oromo region around the capital. But many of the Oromo are calling it an unconstitutional land grab. Activists and opposition members say security services have killed around 140 people. Hundreds of others have been wounded, arrested and detained.
The problem with the government is simply the government is consciously trying to avoid recognizing real problems in the society. In fact, the Ethiopian society, not only the Oromo society, is simply fed up of the regime. Fed up of the regime. Fed, especially the youth, the young people. They lost hope, total hope.
The government admits the Oromo people have legitimate concerns that it needs to address. It says it has suspended the Addis Ababa Integrated Development Plan, and it blames the violence on individuals with links to what it describes as a terrorist organization.
The implementation of the plan is basically a question over which only the people have the final say.
Back at Lelisa Kenna's home, her son Dereje is too young to have any say in his future. He just hopes his mother doesn't die.
Now, it's important to recognise that we contacted the government this morning and asked them to try and supply some sort of medical help to the lady in that package. The government have told us that they are indeed trying to do that and have ensured us that she will get the necessary medical treatment. But this comes as a massive embarrassment for the Ethiopian government when it's been getting such incredible PR, if you like, global recognition for its economic success story. What is being described here as great economic growth, double-digit growth over the last 10 years, one of the fastest growing economies in the world, despite it still being one of the poorest countries. And of course, the President of the United States, Barack Obama, was here last year and gave a huge endorsement to Ethiopia, praising Ethiopia for its economic growth and hailing its support in its fight against al-Shabaab militants in neighbouring Somalia. The fact of the matter is, though, and the government admit this, that there is a long way to go on their path towards full democracy, and they admit that mistakes are being made. And as I say, this comes as a huge embarrassment to them and something that they have promised to look into and give the Oromo people more of a say in their economic, their social and their political rights.